Sunday, first thing in the morning, and it's my second fish, 26-pound mirror, absolutely stunning fish, nice dark browns, orange yellow belly. Fell to a complex T snowman, just fishing off a wee bed about 30 yards out. Just screamed off this morning, and I've got a third in the net as well, common, I think a little bit smaller, not sure yet, but one last night was the 22 mirror, so that's a good start, 3 fish already, happy days. Again, complex T snowman, a 15mm hardened hook bait and a 10mm pink crave pop-up as a snowman, fished in just to the side of a pot McGeehan wee bed in front of me, about 30 yards out. This one I had to go out in the boat to get it in. The mirror before, I managed to land it from the swim. And they're really active here at night, not so much in the day, it just goes dead, you wouldn't think there's a carp in here, but at night, oh, it comes alive. Yeah. Well, that was my aim, hopefully to catch a Polish carp, so I'm on to number 3, so I'm happy with that. Fish number 5, 35.5 pounds, 16 kilos. Who's eating all the boilies? It's a bit of a short fat one, isn't it? I repositioned my left hand rod, I wasn't happy where it was, and after a bit of a lead around, good old fashion fishing, I found a hard spot, 40 metres, 13 wraps basically, 13.2 wraps out. I got the marker float out, bait it up with boat, and dropped the rig in it. I'll cast it back out now. Yeah, I'm happy with this. What I've decided to bring with me on this trip. So I'll first start with the boilies. So what I've brought with me is 20 kilos. So there's a limit on the lake. You can only bring 25 kilos with you. I've brought 10 kilos of complex T in 15mm ready-mades. I didn't know if there was any craze or anything like that, so I just thought these might be a bit more hardy. And then I've also got some freezers. I've got 5 kilos of the 15mm and 5 kilos of 18mm. So I've nearly gone through that now, so I'll probably be starting the ready-mades. So that's the boilies, and that's been working well for me so far. Putting in probably half a key, something like that, per rod per day. Every time I have a fish, that's sort of what's going out. It whole and crumbed up in the bucket. So, to go with that, I've been using complex T 4mm pellets and 8mm pellets on one of the spots on the middle rod. I've been using that, just slightly different, see if each rod's if the results are slightly different, what's working, and then I've got something to go on and maybe change on the other spots. So, and that's been working well. I think I've had six bites on that. So yeah, that's definitely working. Blake. And then two other products that I always use wherever I go is the mixed particles. So that's going on all 3 rods again, and we've had a few fish in the sling, and this has all been coming out with the complex T. So yeah, definitely liking that here. And then finally, on one of the other rods, where I'm putting pellets on the middle rod, I've been putting my favourite hempen snails, just a tin every day, on the right hand rod, and I've had 4 fish over that. So again, that seems to be working. And there was a load of hemp on one of the fish I had. I think it was a 30 common or something. And there was a load of hemp in the sling. So yeah, again, that seems to be working well here. So yeah, that's the bait I've been using for this trip. I'm going to give you a tour of Swim 14. So there you can see there's a portaloo there. There's there's 3 portaloos on the lake. They're by each of the swims with a lodge, which is what we got here. 17 and 4, I think it is. I've also got lodges, so it's all wooden decking. I've gone and got those Fox screw-in pegs. There is actually a pot underneath the sign there with a load of screws and washers, so you can actually screw them in, so you don't have to bring any screws with you if you don't want to. Got handy some nice pegs for clothes hooks and that, for hanging everything up outside, so you can get all your towels and slings and whatever else dry. Every swim, all 20 swims come with a hard boat. You can bring your own outboard and batteries and that, or you can rent them. So they've got their own outboards and batteries here that you can rent off the lake for the week. You've got power sockets there, so you can do all your leisure batteries and that, and you've got an LED light there for lighting up and doing your fish at night. That's really useful, that is, it helps. They come with slings, mats, got a couple of nets, got a nice hard tough rubber mat, rubber landing net for when you're out in the boat, and then you got a standard typical 42-inch if you can play the fish into the swim. Plenty of room for a bivvy there. You should be able to get 2 in it if you really wanted to. All the swims are doubles, so really this swim should take 2 anglers and 6 rods, but I've got it booked for myself and the missus. So if we go into the lodge, well, before I go into the lodge, you've also got 2 sockets there as well, so that's handy, you know, so you can plug in your mobile phone or your leisure batteries. I did yesterday, charged my battery back up, but yeah, stick your phones in, tablets or whatever, wire them under your bivvy and that. You've also got a light here as well above the door, so I did some of the pictures of the fish last night, so I used that light plus the LED lights. That was really good, that was. Just made things so much easier. And then into the lodge, so I'm not using the bed myself, the missus is, but you've got 2 single beds, so nice and comfortable in here. You see you've got power sockets there, just make sure you've got your Euro converters if you're coming over from England. Then you've got a nice little kitchen area here, the gas hob. Basically it's just a gas bottle there, sort of thing, pumped in. You've got all the utensils and whatever, bowls and plates, saucepans, cutlery and that. So you don't have to bring any of that unless you want to. We have, just to make sure, plenty of rum, of course, there's always rum wherever I am. You then got a fridge freezer. Basically, there isn't really, it's only a little tiny freezer, to be honest. You wouldn't be able to store your bait there. You'd have to store your bait up in the main lodge, so just make sure you're aware of that when you arrive. Stick your bait in the freezer before you go to the swim. And then a fridge to keep everything cool. And then a couple of wardrobes. Yeah, it's really handy. They supply you with water butts as well, with a pump and that. We're just doing our dishes and boiling and stuff like that. Obviously we've brought our own water for drinking and that, just to make sure. Polish, £55, 25 kilo mirror. That's what we come from Goslawice for. Look at that. Oh, yes. Fish number 10. 420s, I think 520s, 430s, and now this 50. Falling to a complex T, snowman with a Crave 10mm pop-up over a bed of 8mm pellets. Complex T 15 and 18mm. And some mixed particles, and that's it. Not a lot, maybe a kilo, just by a wee bed. Oh. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about my rig setup for this trip. So I've been using a snowman setup the entire trip for all 3 rods, and all of them have been on a 15mm complex T hardened hook bait, and then the pop-up to make up the snowman. The majority have been on a Crave 10mm washed out pink pop-up. 3 or 4 have been on a yellow pineapple 10mm pop-up, smaller fish. To be honest, have been falling to the yellow, so I've changed that one rod since yesterday to a white pop-up. It's a homemade pop-up. It's got 2 oils in it. One's my own, keep to myself, and the other one is the citrus fruit dynamite oil. So, and that's, I've had 3 bites on that. I've landed 1. Unfortunately, I've lost 2. Those losses, both of those today. But these things happen. But hopefully, fingers crossed, that maybe it'll be 3rd time lucky today, and that if I get a bite on that, I'll actually land it. The actual rig setup, so it's a snowman. The hook material is jelly wire, 25 pound sort of khaki gravel colour. I use that in Belgium and the Holland canals and that, in snaggy conditions. I really rate that stuff. I like that a lot. Then the hooks, the actual hooks I've been using has been the new Korda Kamakura hooks, and I'm really impressed with those. The first one did actually open out slightly. The very first night we got here, had a bite on the middle rod in the pads, and the fish took me through this bottom of Geaton bed. Maybe I've bullied it slightly because it was the first fish and that opened out. But since then, I think I had 12 or 13 fish on those, and a couple of the hooks I've been able to use the 2nd or 3rd time. And I've been really impressed. It's only the first one what actually opened out. The rest have all been fine. They've just, the bird over has sharpened hooks too. But I've run out of them now, so I only bought one pack of size 6s, and they've all gone. So I'm using my MCSs now. So that's the other hook pattern I do like, and I use a lot quite in Belgium, is the Carp Spirit size 6 MCS mid curve shank hook, or the Gardner Mugger. I've got some Gardner Muggers out of the packet, or I've got some hand sharpened by Jason Hayward. I quite like those as well, but I've actually got the MCSs on at the moment. I've sort of honed them myself, so, and I've had I think 4 or 5 on those. I've lost 2 on a Kamakura and 1 on the MCS, but it's just 2 have been hook pulls and 1's been weed. It's nothing to do with the hooks, it's just a situation. And then with the Kamakura hooks, because they're beaked and that, I've been using the cord tail rubber on that, and then on the MCSs I use a little bit of heat shrink tubing on that, just on the eye. So that's really been the rig setup. The leader, can't use lead core here, it's banned. That's my preference, is lead core, to be honest. So I've been using the fluorocarbon leaders from Fox and Korda. I quite like the Fox ones, I have to admit. I know they're new, and they've got the leaders with the size 8, I think it is, or size 7, quick change, so you can just hook on a rig and you're good to go. You can put your own lead clip system on, so I've got the ESP lead clip systems on those. I quite like those, they ditch the lead straight away. But I've got ESP or the Carp Spirit, so I use both of those, and they ditch the lead really quickly on both of those lead clip setups. And then I've also got the Korda ones. I've got the clear and the green, but I've been using the Fox fluorocarbons on 2 of these rods, and then I've got the Korda, which is slightly longer, on the middle rod, which is a bit snaggier. It's going over bottom of Geaton bed, but both have been doing well for me. Even though I've got a preference to lead core, I may have to think things a bit more going forward on what's back at home. Maybe the fluorocarbon leaders, maybe it's something I need to start thinking about at home, because they've been working well here. They've been dealing with the weed, and so that's really been the sort of rig setup. Fairly standard, nothing revolutionary, no fancy rigs, just like I say, good old snowman, bottom bait with a small pop up on top. Something, just a bit awkward for the fish to sort of spit out if they suck it in, and a little bit of visual over bait, and a standard, rig setup really. The only thing I will say, the coated leaders, I have them slightly shorter probably than the average, around 4 maybe 5 inches at most. I say standard average, I don't know, these days people could be using shorter, but shorter than what I used to use. I used to be 6'7", and I've gone just a little bit shorter now. The leads I use as well, I snip off I cut the swivels off. I don't like the swivels, it's too much movement for the fish to help get away with it, so I just put a 6mm ring on, just so it reduces the movement of the lead, so when that fish pick it up, they feel that lead just that bit quicker. So that's the other thing I've been using on here, but then I use that everywhere. It's not just for this lake or this trip. That's what I use all the time. But yeah, that's the rig setup basically. Got a lovely chunky 32-pound Polish common. It's the biggest of the trip so far. Fish number 15. Falling to my usual 15mm, 10mm snowman. A bit of a story to this. It came off a snag I found. I've hooked up on it once and it came off, and the marker floats caught up on it on a couple of times, and the last time I managed to actually extract it. It's a huge old tree stump and all the roots and that, so that might have disturbed the bottom, all the naturals and little mussels and that, and this followed during the night. Well made up. What a fish. Tactics, rigs and that. So I've been using snowmans on all 3 rods. I've got one out in open water on a rocky snaggy spot. I kept getting hooked up on a snag, and fortunately my marker rod got snagged up on it, got wrapped around the braid, and I managed to actually lift it from the boat. It's a big old root of a tree. I've got some photos of that. So that's all cleared out. I think there's still possibly some more bits of root or something down there still get caught up, but it's hard to tell because it's quite rocky down there. That's why it seems to be on the edge of a plateau, and it just drops off slightly, bit of rock on the slope and that's where I've got one rod, and I've had 4 from that spot. And when I moved the root away that night, I had 2 fish, but nothing last night. So, but still, I'm hopeful that maybe that will produce me another fish, because that one's done the slightly better fish actually. Although it's not done as many bites, it's done the better fish. Nearly all of them at night. 3 at all four at night. So, and then there's a wee bed in front of me, not very far out. Probably, I'm guessing, the very near tip is about 20-25 yards, and that extends up to probably about 60 yards, I would guess. There's a couple of little holes and little sort of bays, if you like, in that pad. So I've got my middle rod's in a little cove, a third of the way up. So I've got line going over the Potmagie and wee bed and down into that little cove. And that's afforded me 9 bites, and the biggest one at 55. It's gone quiet the last 36 hours though, so maybe the spot's gone. I'm not sure what to do yet. If I leave it for the last night and hopefully something will come back in again, or do I move the rod? Something I've got to decide yet. And then the right hand rod, that's just really just up the side of the wee bed. It's nice line lay, I can get the line down. And that's just at the side, and there's like little channels. You can see the channels in between the wee bed, and it's just off the side of one of these little clearings, little channels where I guess the fish are coming through in and out, part of one of their routes. And that was quite to start with, and it was doing small fish. It has predominantly done small fish. I think it's done 6 or 7 of them bites, and only one of those has been over 30. But it was the last one, the one I had last night. So I'll probably stick with that. So it's Friday morning, coming towards the end of my trip. Got 24 hours left to go. So so far had 20 bites. Unfortunately lost 2. One was a hook pull, very quick. It ditched the lead, but it fell off within a few seconds. And the other one I lost in the weed, unfortunately. Felt a good fish, but I didn't actually see it, so won't really know. Of the 18 fish that I have landed, 8 of them are over 30, up to 37, and then the big one at 55. So absolutely made up with that one, over the moon. That was like top of the tree sort of target, if you like. Set me aims low, try and catch a Polish carp. Obviously that's the first one, then the first 20, first 30, if you get lucky maybe a 40 or a 50. So absolutely made up that I've gone and caught 50. And like I say, I've got 24 hours to go, so fingers crossed that maybe I'll get 1 or 2 more bites, maybe get to that 20 mark, but we will see. It has started to slow up a little bit. It sort of peaks and troughs. So the first couple of days I was doing okay, then had a little bit of a dip, and then Wednesday into Thursday had a bit of a peak again, and it's just started to die off again. So last night I didn't have anything. That's the first night I've not caught. Had one just after dinner, a 35, and then nothing since then. I've just had a bite just now, but that was one got away, basically lost. On the wildlife front, for people who are interested in that, we've really been treated to something special here. Obviously, I've had the kingfishers on with rods and stuff like that bouncing around. I had a kingfisher with a fish in its mouth and that, and managed to. We both watching him sit there and that. So that was really nice. But no, the real special thing here, I don't know how they're perceived in Poland. I think they might be a bit of a nuisance, but to us in the UK, we don't get such animals, and that's beaver. And I'm in, folks. just shy £52 Polish carp. Absolutely buzzing. Fall into a complex T snowman, size 6 Korda Kamakura hook. Played it all the way into the bank, didn't need a boat for this one for a change. Caught it from the spot where I pulled a snag from, 12 wraps out from the swim in open water. Oh, he knew every little bit. He was trying to get in the reeds from the left to the right, under the boards. It was a good old fight. Yes, makes a good end to the week. This is Friday, so we'll be heading home tomorrow. And yeah, I'm absolutely over the moon. So on the wildlife front, we've really been treated to something special here on our trip, for us at least anyway. We like the outdoors, we like nature and the wildlife. I think most anglers do, to be honest. We've had the typical kingfisher on the rods bouncing up and down, and that he's had a fish in his beak on one occasion, and that I have tried to take pictures, but just, yeah, I'm not quick enough, I'm not good enough. I'll try again. Maybe I'll get lucky tomorrow morning on the last morning, but we'll see. But yeah, the treat for us has been a pair of beavers. We think it's a pair of beavers anyway. We've seen the male several times, and we've heard the squeaking of another one down from us, so we think that's probably the female. And the first time I see it, on the second night, it came swimming past, and I thought it was an otter, to be honest, because I've seen quite a few otters back in the UK. And I put the head torch on, fearing the worst, and then suddenly I just see this big sort of leathery, rubbery, typical, you know, the paddle that beavers have, and that you see, in the pictures and that. And I was like, oh, blimey hell, beaver! And I thought, this is and that. And I see it swim past a couple of times. Eventually, Caroline get to see it as well. And then on the fourth night, he started making a right old racket behind us, and that. I'd taken a log from out of the lake which got snagged around my line and put it up on the bank behind the swim. That night there was a bit of a racket in that. I did put it there thinking that maybe the beaver would come along, and he'd had a chew about a foot off this log. And keeping me up, to be honest, with all the bloody racket. I just didn't really put two and two together at the time. So the following night I was already set up. We were trying to get the cameras all ready, just to try and get a couple of pictures as best we could. And lo and behold, he came in and he actually swam underneath the decking, underneath my bivvy, and up to the log and started chewing away. And we sort of crept around with the light, head torch on, just slowly coming around, and he sat there chewing away, and we took a couple of pictures. Didn't get no film or footage or anything, but got a couple of pictures. Not brilliant, but they're okay. You can see what it is. And then we left him to it. We spooked him a couple of times. Obviously the camera flash, he spooked and got his big rubber down and smacked on the water and that. So I don't think he liked the camera flash too much, to be honest. So we thought we'd leave him alone. He just carried on till about 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get any sleep that night. So that was something. That was brilliant. That was. We really enjoyed that. So that's been our treat for the trip. And he was back again last night, and we got a good look at him. Was watching him and that just under the head torch light. We didn't take no flash. Just watching him. And like I say, that was a real treat. That was. And he's a big old thing, about the length of an otter, but the body, he's got to be 3-4 times the size, I would have thought. He's a good old beast. So yeah, we've really enjoyed that.